What if I told you that some bodybuilders eat raw liver for breakfast, consume nothing but meat, and take in more than 10,000 calories a day? And all of that actually works to build those impossible bodies you see at competitions? It sounds crazy, but these diets, as extreme as they are real. And what they do to the human body is incredible. Stay with me, because the second diet I'll show you might seem illegal in many countries. The raw meat diet. Imagine starting your day with a raw liver instead of oatmeal or scrambled eggs. For some extreme bodybuilders, this isn't a far-fetched idea. It's their daily reality. The raw meat diet, also known as the raw carnivore diet, consists of consuming exclusively uncooked meat, organs, and animal fats, completely eliminating carbohydrates, fruits, vegetables, and processed foods. This radical way of eating drastically cuts any source of carbohydrates and fiber, leaving a concentrated source of protein and fat. Why would anyone put their body through such extreme eating? Its followers claim that raw meat retains enzymes and nutrients that are lost through cooking, which supposedly improves the absorption of essential vitamins and minerals, enhances energy, muscle recovery, and mental clarity in some cases. They argue it's a return to ancestral eating, one that helps the body function in a more natural and efficient way, allowing for optimal muscle development and extraordinary definition. However, this diet comes with significant risks. Raw meat can be a breeding ground for dangerous bacteria such as Salmonella, E. coli, and parasites, which can cause serious illness. Additionally, the total absence of carbohydrates and fiber can affect digestive health, cause micronutrient deficiencies, and impair long-term aerobic performance. For this reason, nutrition specialists warn that this diet, while it may work for some bodybuilders, is not safe for the general public and requires constant medical supervision. But does it work? Some studies and anecdotal experiences show that this diet can trigger rapid body fat loss, an increase in lean muscle mass, and a notable reduction in bodily inflammation, thanks to the elimination of carbohydrates and processed foods. This diet also induces a state of ketosis, where the body uses fat and ketones instead of glucose as its primary energy source, which may explain why many bodybuilders report greater definition and sustained energy throughout the day. That said, the level of mental discipline this diet demands is extreme. Resisting the smell, the texture, and the lack of dietary variety puts anyone to the test. It also requires deep knowledge to handle meat with the strict level of hygiene needed to minimize risks. For those who practice it, this diet is a powerful weapon in the arsenal for achieving imposing physiques, but also a lurking danger. The question that lingers is, would you be willing to sacrifice safety and comfort to reach results that seem impossible? How far would you go with your diet to build a body like a world champion? Hold on to that question, because the diets coming up next are just as shocking, or more, and will make you rethink a lot of ideas about nutrition, fat loss, and muscle gain. The 10,000 calories a day diet. Can you imagine having to eat every 2 hours to consume more than 10,000 calories a day? It sounds like a full-time job, and in reality, for many professional bodybuilders, that's exactly what it is. This extreme diet focuses on maximizing muscle hypertrophy through sustained caloric overload, forcing the body to grow and fill every muscle fiber with glycogen and the essential nutrients needed for performance and recovery. The typical structure of this diet includes large meals combining high carbohydrate sources like rice and oats with lean proteins like chicken, fish, or eggs, and healthy fats, along with shakes loaded with peanut butter, creatine, and other supplements. For example, a bodybuilder following this diet might start the day with 6 eggs, a massive plate of rice, peanut butter, and several shakes. Then, every 2 hours, they repeat this routine with slight variations, but maintaining a constant flow of food and nutrients. Although the goal is clear, maximizing muscle growth and replenishing glycogen stores, the psychological and physical cost is immense. The work of eating becomes exhausting, not just because of the sheer volume of food, but because of the discipline required to do it all day without skipping a single bite. Food fatigue, and the body's natural resistance to eating constantly are common obstacles, a surprising fact. Studies on elite bodybuilders show that some spend up to 3 hours a day on food intake alone because of this hypercaloric routine. This cuts into other activities and can affect social and emotional aspects of life, as the act of eating becomes mechanical and draining. But why do they endure all of this? Because massive caloric overload also triggers powerful physiological adaptations. The body responds by increasing muscle protein synthesis and storing glycogen at levels that allow for ultra-high-intensity training and better muscle recovery. In simple terms, it puts your body into a super anabolic mode. Now, what health risks does this diet carry? Although it focuses on natural, balanced foods, the sheer quantity can lead to digestive overload, kidney problems if water and salt intake aren't properly managed, and hormonal imbalances resulting from metabolic stress. That's why this diet is not something to take lightly or follow for extended periods without supervision. There's also something interesting on the mental side: willpower. Eating such large quantities on a regular basis requires a very high level of discipline and commitment that not everyone can sustain. It can even lead to psychological issues such as anxiety or food-related stress. Have you ever wondered what your limit would be when it comes to eating and training? Could you be someone who turns that act into a daily obligation without breaking down? Or would the sacrifice in time and mental energy make you fall apart before seeing results? And even though this diet seems like the most extreme and exhausting one, it's not the last on our list. What's coming is even more shocking, and in some cases, dangerously effective: the water cut diet. When it comes to competitive bodybuilding, one of the most dramatic and extreme moments is what's known as the water cut, or pre-competition dehydration. As contradictory as it sounds, reducing water intake to a minimum before stepping on stage is a common practice used to achieve those nearly sculptural, sharply defined muscles we see in top competitors. Why do they do this? Simple. Water in the body creates a bloated, soft appearance in the muscles, hiding that dehydrated and dry look that defines competitive bodybuilding aesthetics. By eliminating water, the muscles appear harder, with visible veins and extreme definition. The process is neither simple nor risk-free. Bodybuilders begin reducing their water intake progressively in the days leading up to competition, often combining it with electrolyte manipulation to accelerate fluid elimination. Some even use diuretics under medical supervision, but this practice comes at a very high cost. Symptoms can include muscle cramps, severe fatigue, dizziness, and even fainting. At a physiological level, the body loses its hydroelectrolyte balance, which affects muscular and cardiovascular function. Mentally, competitors experience intense stress and difficulty concentrating. Yet the perception of winning the competition and achieving the desired image overrides these difficulties. It's important to note that this practice is only used in the hours or days before competition. It is not a sustainable diet. And while dangerously effective, many experts warn that it can put health at serious risk, potentially causing extreme dehydration or kidney problems if not managed with rigorous care. This opens the door to reflecting on the price athletes are willing to pay to look their best. Is such a brutal sacrifice worth it for just a few hours on stage? How does this practice affect long-term health, and what alternatives exist? While you think about that, get ready for the next chapter, one that exposes an extreme and modern dependency: living almost entirely on supplements. The supplements-only protocol. Now we shift the scene entirely. Imagine that 90% of your daily calories come not from solid food, but from shakes, pills, and powders. This is the reality for some bodybuilders who have adopted a protocol based almost exclusively on supplements, seeking to control with maximum precision the nutrients entering their body at every moment of the day. Why go with this strategy? The core idea is to optimize time, maximize nutrient absorption, and bypass the digestive process that can slow down the availability of protein and carbohydrates to the muscles. With specific supplements, they can adjust caloric and protein intake to the second, helping maintain a constant anabolic state, fundamental for muscle growth and recovery. This method includes protein shakes, branched-chain amino acids, BCAAs, creatine, vitamins, minerals, and other synthetic components that replace whole meals. From the bodybuilder's perspective, this means less time chewing, less time spent preparing food, and exact nutritional availability tailored to the training or recovery phase. But does it actually work? Some scientific studies indicate that while supplements can help improve performance and recovery, nutrition based exclusively on them can create imbalances. Real food contains bioactive compounds and fiber that supplements do not replicate. Supplement overuse can also cause liver and kidney stress if dosage isn't carefully controlled. There's also the financial cost. Maintaining this diet can be extremely expensive, as quality supplements cost far more than traditional food. There's also an ongoing debate about the placebo effect and the mental dependency that tends to build around these products. From a critical standpoint, it's clear that while this diet is effective for controlling nutritional timing, it should never be seen as a permanent substitute for a balanced diet. Most experts recommend combining supplements with real food to maximize both results and long-term health. It makes us ask, to what extent are technology and supplements replacing traditional eating? Are we moving toward a more calculated form of nutrition? Or are we at risk of losing our natural connection with the foods our bodies actually need? Arnold's vintage diet. Before macro-counting apps, advanced supplements, and the obsession with every single calorie, bodybuilding had its roots in simple but powerful eating. The vintage diet of Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of the greatest icons the sport has ever seen, was based on whole, natural foods, whole eggs, whole milk, beef steaks, and a high intake of classic fats and proteins. Arnold and many bodybuilders of the 1970s trusted these real foods to build their imposing physiques. There was no room for sophisticated shakes or magic formulas. The focus was on eating large quantities of nutrient-dense foods that supported recovery and growth. This diet also fueled them for intense training sessions and gave them the mental strength needed to compete. Today, however, with the evolution of training, recovery science, and nutritional knowledge, the question arises: is this old-school diet still effective? Some experts say yes, because the human body responds better to natural, less processed foods. After all, bioactive nutrients, healthy fats, and animal-based proteins remain the cornerstone of muscle building. But there are nuances. Today's training demands and individual metabolism require more precise planning and personalization, which can make it difficult to apply strategies as broad as those from the past. Supplementation has also proven to be a powerful ally for improving performance and accelerating recovery, something that simply didn't exist back then. The vintage diet is also a reminder of the importance of balance and simplicity. Sometimes less is more, and solid foundations built with natural foods can make all the difference. It raises important questions. Are we overcomplicating modern nutrition? Could this simple approach become relevant again for certain training styles and body types? For you, what weighs more? Proven tradition or scientific innovation? Do you think you could adopt this diet today, with all the information and tools available, or do you prefer modern nutritional technology? At the end of the day, these extreme diets don't just reflect the desire to gain muscle or lose fat. They speak of control, obsession, and the ability to push the body and mind to their absolute limits. Not everyone would be willing to follow these regimens, but the real secret lies in understanding the mindset behind them. Absolute determination and the willingness to sacrifice comfort in pursuit of an extraordinary goal. Maybe you'll never follow any of these diets, but the discipline and focus they represent can inspire you to rethink your own routine and your own mindset toward fitness. If this video was eye-opening and you want to keep learning, don't miss my next video. 3 new supplements that work better than creatine. There you'll discover innovative products, how they work, and why many people are even leaving creatine behind as the king of supplements. Which one do you think will be first? Let me know in the comments.